Hi, today we're going to do a quick and easy technique using the Ken Oliver Color Burst powders. We're going to start off by stamping this really cool brush stamp from Impression Obsession with some archival ink right directly onto watercolor paper. We need to use the archival ink because it's waterproof, and we're going to be using a water-based technique because these Color Burst powders are watercolors. What I did is I preloaded just a little container that I had at home with just a tiny bit of the powders. When you're using the powders, you want to take off the cap and you want to just tap a little tiny bit of powder into your container. These things have a highly concentrated pigment, and they are just going to pull a ton of color for you when you're painting them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I have a paper towel so that I can clean off my water brush. You want to start with a clean water brush, and then I'm going to go into my first color to do my rainbow. I'm going to start with the yellow, and I'm using a water brush just because it's already preloaded with water and it just makes it go nice and easy. I'm going to paint the tip of my paintbrush and pull that color down, and then I'm going to add a little bit of water and then just kind of let it smear a bit. I'm going to clean it off, go for my next color, do the same thing. The little drips add a lot to it. And I'm going to continue on with this for the next 4 colors. One thing you can do is you can pre-wet your cardstock so that way when you put the powders on, it already has some place to drip to. So that way if you start with really heavy color up here, you can see it drip down, and then I just squeeze my water brush just to add a little bit more water. You can see how concentrated these colors are. I'm going to tap some of this extra color onto the mat so that way I will be able to go use that and go around and make a border. I'm going to take a water sprayer and just spritz the cardstock a little, get the color running a little bit more, get a little bit messy. Okay, now I dried this off camera so that way you didn't have to watch me use the heat gun. I want to add some splatter to this, so there's still some color on my water brush. I'm just going to kind of tap it a bit and get some little tiny splatters. You have to kind of play with your brushes to see which brush is going to give you the best splatter. Sometimes a bigger paintbrush, get the paintbrush really wet, get some of the pigment powders on there. You can get a nice splatter effect with some of those bigger brushes. Bigger brushes and bigger tips sometimes will give you bigger blobs of color, so you do this as much as you like until you're happy with the amount of splatter you have. The other thing you'll notice is I left some color on my mat. I'm going to give it a squirt of water, and I'm going to just drag the edges of my card through it so that I can put a nice border all the way around. And then that way it gives a little bit of an edge, kind of gives it a little finish. Now I'm going to put a sentiment on the top of the card. I'm using this adorable Happy set from Alta New. It's one of the stamp sets we carry at Photo Scraps. What I did is I just inked up my stamp using Versamark, which is just a clear sticky ink. I'm going to put that right over my fun rainbow. Stamp that on there. I'm giving it a few seconds for the ink to soak into the watercolor paper so that way it can stay nice and tacky. I know it looks like nothing, but as soon as we dip it into the black embossing powder, we can notice that I stamped it upside down. So now my rainbow's going the opposite way. See, I make oopses too. Okay, so while you can see, I went ahead and dipped it in the black embossing powder, heated it up, and I stamped my stamp upside down. But sometimes you can have happy accidents, because really, if you think about it, rainbows go up in the sky versus down. So either way, you have a cute, easy card, and you've learned how to play with the wonderful Color Burst powders from Ken Oliver. Thank you.